Um, so welcome everybody. We're very excited to have Olive Allen here.
Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone.
So many of you might already be familiar with some of her work, but I'm here to hear no sounds. Hold on, let's just make sure. Okay, great.
It looks good to
All right.
me.
All right, cool. No, somebody in the chat said that they heard no sounds. Sorry about that. Okay, so I guess my first question for you, Olive, is how did you get started in making art, and then like what eventually led you to the world of crypto art and NFTs?
Thanks for the question, Heather, and thanks again for having me here. Well, to answer your question, we'll have to go back all the way to early 90s. When I was a child, I was always making art. I was always very creative. I always did something with my hands, and I was writing music, I was writing poems, I was drawing, I was painting all the time. Yeah, I think that passion for creative endeavors traveled back to my adulthood. Even though I haven't been pursuing art as a career until 2016, 17. I've always been painting for a good 15 years, definitely 10, 15 years. And later on, I just went for it. But of course, I made a little break in 2018 to go work in tech, in Silicon Valley Tech, to learn more about technology and how I can incorporate it in my work, in my own work. But NFT space sucked me in. I was really sold on the idea of tokenizing items, and it just it excited me and fascinated me. And I started doing my own drops. I did my first drop back in 2019. Yeah, and my second one, that was a drop I did by myself. But was the brand name that I created called Decadent. I don't know if you guys heard about it. So that was my very first drop, and the art piece was 13 dreadful and disappointing items. It's a very funny one. To see that, you'll have to go back all the way.
Oh, I've got that
Oh,
here.
my website. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have this here. I was going to ask you about that. Let's get
That's the
into
first
that.
one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you talk about the experience in doing that first drop and what that was like for you?
Those were the early days, and minting process was not that smooth.
Yeah.
And and I used the Open
Still not.
SDK. Yeah, right now it's bit better. So I basically used OpenSea's Open SDK, and those items were on my own website. Not this one, but Decadent.io. It doesn't exist anymore. So people can go and buy items directly, but it would connect to OpenSea. Interesting. It didn't work as perfectly as I expected because, hey, early days. The technology was not that. Maybe I messed up coding, and that's very, very possible too. So it just didn't work on the day it was supposed to. There was just limited 24-hour drop. So since it didn't work, I decided just mint second series of all of those items and send people who subscribe to my email. That's what I did. That's why you see a lot of them, a lot more than just one-on-ones. The first series is of course way more valuable. I haven't saw that until very, very recently. But the second editions of those, a lot of people have. I send them for free to the community, like to make it up for my website that wasn't really working at the time. So that was my very first drop, and I love those items dearly. I mean, that what made me even more passionate about creating NFTs, not just working in the space. Yeah, these guys are very, very special to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's like really challenging to do your first drop and then have like all these technical difficulties. But I think the way that you handled it and saved it and gifted something to your fans, you did a good job of, making up for it. Mistakes happen when you try new things.
Yeah, definitely.
But
I
yeah,
was really really happy to give them to a lot of people, and some people disappeared. Like a lot of things happened in 2 years, and a lot of people still have it, and they never sold it. That's very 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 nice of them. Some people did, of course. Right now, I see a lot of sales of those items, which is like great too. Okay.
right. Because now you get something for it as an artist.
Right, it always pays
Yeah.
off to be early. Yeah, that's the lesson I've learned. So whatever there is an artist like doing airdrops or I don't know, CryptoKitties are giving giveaway or NBA Top Up, I always try to get those because you never know really down the line those items might be valuable. Or I like very very early drops. When going back to Nifty Gateway, I like those items you could get like for $40, like $60. They were awesome, and now you can see that they're rising up in value significantly. Even for my early
Yeah.
drops, the unbearables, the hybrids, I was doing pack drops. No one is selling anything for cheaper than 500. But back in the day, $40 was a normal price. I mean, a lot has changed in a year, obviously.
It's yeah, and I mean it's great how much it's changed for the better for artists, I think. I mean, there's definitely there's the roadblock of like gas prices right now, which
Of
are a problem
course,
for
yeah.
both collectors and artists. But I feel like the fact that an artist can expect to make a couple $100 at least on their work, before making it super big, or like, that you can even start at $40 is pretty good because you see there's artists out there that undersell themselves all the time, unfortunately. And I think,
No, of course, of course. I mean,
yeah,
timing also plays an important role because Nifty Gateway was pricing items very, very differently when 2, 3 months ago. Like prices
yeah,
change as the demand rises. So if you dropped very, very early, I mean, of course, your work is very heavily underpriced because that was the price back in the day. And back in the day, it was normal. Right now, of course, you're like, oh wow, I'm heavily underpriced. But it's changing right now. People are buying stuff on the secondary market. They understand that, hey, this stuff is really cheap. I really have to buy it right now. That's what I've been seeing for the hybrids, and that's what I've been seeing for the unbearables. And that's smart, truth be told. I mean, until recently, you could still get the unbearable for literally like $100, which is not a lot considering like how much items are being sold on Nifty Gateway. Not anymore though. A lot of people are buying lately. Like, yeah, that's smart, huh?
I
Yeah, this is
actually
the
want to,
verse.
yeah, and I kind of want to back up a second on um, 15, the 13 dreadful and disappointing items, because you
All
said that
right.
I was curious because you said this piece means a lot to you. So did you
That's
want to
the
speak
first
to that?
one. That's the very first one, and it's very funny. I mean, each item represents a part of the culture. Some of them are part of blockchain culture, like the Kool-Aid. It's dedicated to consensus.
Mhm.
I mean, each of them, it's a really funny sketch. If you like scroll down, like each of them has a description, and each of them has a reason of existing. Yeah, like those are the very first hype birds I have. I have like two birds here, Billy and Jack.
Yeah.
Downtown, yeah, yeah. So the downtown city dweller Jack is dedicated to a friend of mine. Maybe like it's a composite.
That's really cool, though. It's like all personally meaningful to you, and that it was your first drop.
Right.
Um,
And the green
yeah.
one is Billy. It's Billie Eilish because I love Billie Eilish and I think she really speaks the language of a young generation. I think if you think of one person that embodies everything Gen Z stands for, yeah, I think it should be Billie Eilish, definitely. And I feel like I need to include her because she's part of culture,
Yeah,
integral part
yeah,
of it.
yeah. I definitely hear that. Um, so you were saying that you started to go into the world of tech for a while. and you
yeah.
wanted to meld it like with your work. Do you feel like you've accomplished that with getting into the crypto space? And like, would you have like more ideas in the future of like how you can incorporate your tech experience with your art?
Well, I think I've been in the crypto space more or less since 2013. That's when I bought my first cryptocurrency. Yeah, I was vaguely following it, but I became more active in 2017. Okay, like everyone else, let's be real. And that's how I entered tech, through blockchain. I figured that just makes more sense because I already had an exposure to the community. I already had cryptocurrency. I really believe, and I share the same values of privacy, decentralization. And I think, blockchain technology is really revolutionizing a lot of industries, and it's very, very useful. And of
Yes.
course, I was excited as an artist, as a creative person. I was excited about NFTs. As a gamer, I used to play a lot of games, and I remember that like you cannot do anything with your skins that you spent like maybe $1,000 on. But okay, you can sell an account on eBay or whatever, but that's about it. And I felt like blockchain opens up a lot of possibilities to open the gaming market and make it open so players could just easily buy and sell their skins like NFTs. I think it's gonna happen down the line. What was my startup about? That I worked on Silicon Valley. Yeah, but as of now, it's still in the stage 0, which is interesting. Definitely.
That's really cool. Did you so I guess through getting into blockchain technology, that's how you found out about. So you basically had like firsthand. It wasn't like, oh, my friend told me about NFTs. It was like you were already part of that world before it was a thing.
Yes, I was involved. I remember CryptoKitties, but CryptoKitties back in 2017 did not use the standard. The standard was created because of them. Very late 2017, early 2018. And I think, of course, a friend told me about the standard. That's how you learn things, even in tech. My developer friend, who was really, really deep into tech and all the mechanics of blockchain and all the coins and etc. There's a new standard that has appeared. It's called ERC 721. I was like, what? Tell me more. And then okay, backtrack. Oh, okay, that makes sense. That really does make sense, huh? Yeah, CryptoKitties were the first one who started using it, but I think it was the beginning of 2018, and later on, some other companies. I mean, just it made sense. The timing was perfect, and I think it's one of the biggest inventions of the crypto space. Definitely. It's going to change a lot.
Yeah, it already has.
Yes.
Changing artists' lives and
for
collectors'
sure.
lives. It's pretty amazing. And like you said, in just the span of a few years.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Actually, I guess talking about everything changing as I'm flipping through all the tabs I have open for all my questions for you. Like I see that you have these amazing abstract paintings that are from 2015, 2017, and now it's 2021. And,
oh, yeah.
Do you see yourself going back to, physical art or like incorporating more physical work with your NFTs?
Absolutely, yes. I love painting. I'm painting right now. In fact, I always enjoy I paint. I mean, in fact, all my artwork is made by hand. I draw on my iPad, but nevertheless, I still draw by hand and like literally have the special brushes I made. I use the airbrush a lot lately. I'm airbrushing my characters by hand. So if you wonder how I make my art, that's how I do it, by hand still.
Wow.
So I can do it on my iPad, or I can do it on canvas. In fact, just bought a few canvas, and I'm making physical art as well. And I think the first physical crossover I did was the Hybrids and something drop. Yeah, there was a painting that I fractionalized into 126 pieces, and collectors had a choice to collect 13 of those pieces to get limited edition print, fine art print, and they only had a week to do it. So 7 collectors ended up collecting 13 pieces, and I sent them a print that I signed, like really nice quality, and people like never sold it. That was interesting. Yeah, this is the piece.
This was the something 2020. Yeah. So I was
Yes.
also looking at the chat too.
Yeah, that's the painting that I fractionalized. You see the black square? Like, yeah, those are squares. That's a square that is missing forever. Because at the end, I had an auction, and the collector had a choice to either get the piece number 126, this one, the black one, but it was like a normal one, to complete the painting, or get a gold hybrid 101. Of course, collector chose a gold hybrid. That was the artwork there, I think. More so, yeah, basically if you own one of those pieces, you can look up where it is located on the painting. So all of them are numbered. Yeah, I mean, the artwork was about the modern values and how we oftentimes go for the shiniest thing and fail to see the bigger picture. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll be the person who would go for the gold hybrid myself. I'm not judging here. It's just a commentary of how we operate a lot of the times nowadays, which is normal, which is human, which is the time now, and probably that's the way we've always been.
That's true. I mean, and it's totally human, to want the thing that's most collectible. But what I also think would have been very human to do is to opt for piece 196, just because it would be the unpredictable thing to do. Like, oh, I don't want to be that guy to get the collectible,
right.
but I'm surprised. Like, I mean, you predicted it correctly. What the outcome was going to be, probably before you even finished minting all the pieces.
No, of course. I mean, but I knew, but I was kind of hoping that maybe, I didn't know 100%. So, I mean, you never know.
Right.
But hey, Hybrid was just very cute and shiny. I mean, hey, duh.
But these clouds were hand painted on your iPad, or you hand painted like an oil painting?
It's a digital painting actually, and I made the prints. That was the physical artwork. And there is an option, if people collect more pieces than myself, I'll give them a physical painting. But like nobody has ever done that. So one day.
Yeah, I mean, I really like having a physical piece with something. I mean, I know things are changing with how we, consume visual art, but there's still something, like, it's just nice to have this tactile thing in your hand sometimes. And I appreciate that you are offering that with your work.
Yeah, I think it's just one instance. I'd like to do it more so down the line, and I want to do a show in New York. I was supposed to do one in late January, but it got pushed back to end of March due to Corona and all of that. So for that very show, I'm making physical work together with the NFT. So it's going to be both. So if you get a painting, you'll get an NFT as well. So it's both. Yeah, I understand the value of physical work. Like, yeah, it's nice to really have something on your wall, or it's just nice to have a physical thing. But of course, digital thing is as valuable. It's just a different medium, just different format. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're still wrapping our heads around it. I think we are moving forward, but still a bit slower. But I'm sure we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I think it's like growing pains and people like accepting even just like the world of NFTs and what that is. I mean, like you were already in the blockchain world and had like an immediate understanding of why this is valuable, and not just because the artist is going to, make money on a commission on a resale, but just this technology is valuable and has a lot of potential. I think, like
Mm-hmm.
myself included, there are a lot of artists that start out like, I don't understand, like because they don't understand it, or they just feel like, oh well, someone can just like take a screenshot of my art and take it
Right.
anyway. So, like, do you have any advice for those people, or like what would you say to people that are resistant to this world, both artists and collectors, and like how would you
Um,
kind of coax them in?
I think I would not force people in. I think it's just an evolution. I like to give people time. I think everybody discovers things on their own time.
It's a very
Like
good point.
I've been seeing a lot of interest from the outside world right now on every channel. People are messaging me, "Oh, explain me the NFTs. Like there's some galleries I knew." I think that's how it is. People see a lot of interest and they be like, "Oh, wow! Like a lot of sales, a lot of interest. People, it must be valuable. Like if so many people believe in it, oh, okay, I'll take my time and research about it." I think back in the day, I was telling people back in 2019, they'd be like, "Oh, it's bullshit. Like just like don't bother me with that." I'd be like, "Okay, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't care." But now people are more open-minded. I think that's how it works. It's like societal
Yeah.
validation, like Bitcoin's same thing, same thing with everything. It's like there's no point to force people. They will never, like, they'll resist it. They'll have to just discover things
So
on their
true.
own time. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that it's not only true for learning new technology, but just like life lessons. You can't. It's hard to learn from other people's mistakes. You gotta like just do it yourself, and you
No,
also
yeah.
need to see that other people are succeeding before you, I guess, like take the leap into something that you don't understand.
No, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. We need to be sure, and like we want that validation. I mean, I myself, in many ways, I'm not progressive in certain things as I think I am. I would still like to see the interest from people I admire and respect. I'm like, oh wow, this person is interested, might be good. I'll give it time and look it up and like see what's happening about it. And yeah, I think you do need the critical majority, but like of course you need early adopters. That's how it works. It's like not everybody jumps all together. It's
Right.
a
Right.
process, and sometimes it takes a few waves. Like cryptocurrency, there have been a lot of bull runs, and then the market goes down for 2 years, and then comes back up, and there are more interest and more money coming in, and eventually it's gonna be normal to have cryptocurrency to pay with crypto. Yeah, I think we're getting there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with recent current events, putting cryptocurrency in mainstream news, with GameStop and AMC, I think, and now Top Shots, I think people are, you know, definitely more receptive. And I've been getting more messages from friends like, explain this to me. And it's like, it took me like a year to like fully grasp everything. Like, I can't explain it
Right.
to you in one text message. Like,
And yeah, and there's so many aspects. There is DeFi, decentralized finance. There is currencies like Bitcoin. There is random stuff. There's just a lot of random components within the blockchain industry. I mean, there are NFTs, of course, but they're different facets. There are NFT art, crypto art. It's a really separate category from gaming
yeah.
NFTs and tickets. I mean, there are NFT that are tickets or land. Those are very, very different aspects, and they have very different value system around them. So, which is interesting. There's so much to learn, even for me. I'd like to learn
Yeah.
more about decentralized finance, like farming, staking. I'm still not an expert. I did a partnership with Cargo Jams, but yeah, and I still like, I think I understand, but I didn't understand correctly how the farming worked. But that was an interesting experience. Yeah, actually, the painting you see here, or you can eat crypto bull drive through. that was the commission for that project. So people had to stake gems and farm them in order to get NFTs. Then there were 3 more artists, Carlos Marcial, and 2 others. I'm really bad with names. I'm just really bad with names. It just is not personal, but names
No, I
always
get that.
leave me. Like,
Me too.
yeah, if I don't know
Okay.
someone for a long time,
Yeah.
I'll forget their name. That's terrible. That's the only thing I'm not proud about. When it
You're not
comes
the
to
only
my
one.
memory, names, I don't know, just blank out. Yeah, that inspired me to create a series dedicated to crypto bull, to the times we're living in right now. And yeah, they're kind of like a bit satirical, a bit futuristic looking, but that was the intent. So I'm making the whole series. I think I'm gonna release it in 3 more works in a week or 2. I'm talking to a few platforms, so it's gonna be a series. It's gonna be really funny. Yeah, there is one. The next one is revolving around SpaceX and Elon Musk being bullish on Bitcoin. That's
Oh,
my one.
I can't wait to see that. I love the style of this. It has like a sort of vaporwave feel to it, and
Yes. I love the aesthetic. I love vaporwave stuff.
yeah, it's like I don't know. I just love those colors. It's the best. I'm an '80s kid, so it really works for me.
Yeah, I've been a
um,
huge fan of vaporwave for a long time, but I haven't really done anything with it. But now is the time to combine all those things I secretly left for years, but never done anything with. But yes.
yes, I'm excited to see the next in this series. When
Thank you.
when do you think you'll have them minted, or you're still
Minted.
working on
I'm one
that?
of those people who, even when I finish the piece, I procrastinate on minting it. I don't know, in my head, the work is done. It's very strange, I know. I think, yeah, I'm talking to a bunch of platforms. I like to set up a date for the release. I'm talking to Bitski, Foundation, and several others. Well, I might just end up minting it one by one on OpenSea, one on Super Rare, one on Maker's Place. I haven't decided whether to make it a drop of 3 or 4 works, or mint it one by one on different platforms and different quantities. So I'm still deciding on that. But I have the outlines for all 3 of them. I know the subject matter. And the first one, yeah, it's almost done. The second one, almost done as well. And the third one, I know the subject matter. Like when I know the subject matter and the composition, it's just most of the work is done, in my opinion, 70%. When I decided on those things, the rest is easy usually.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And again, you're creating these on your iPad, like
Yep.
and hand drawing these every piece. Like that's a lot of detail in this car. And what programs are you using?
Procreate for the most part.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I use 3D programs as well. So the Bull guy is actually a 3D guy. Essentially, so he was 3D but different colors. So I kind of cropped it out. I rendered him and put it inside of the painting.
Wow.
So sometimes I incorporate those elements. This Fluffy, the Kirby guy, is airbrushed. He was a bit flatter before. So I mean, of course, I have the 3D former myself, like everybody else. So I'm like, okay, I'm not that great in 3D, but I can airbrush. Okay. And I can do like super simple renders. And I know if you do 3D, you do 3D. That's the skill of its own. But I don't think it's necessarily my style. But I like the elements of it. Let me put it this way. I don't want to go like full on 3D because I don't think I'm a 3D artist. But I like that 3-dimensional stuff and the flat imagery combined. So, and even pixelated elements. Actually, background design was made by myself, and I pixelated it a little, so to give it this little vintage look. And I think the painting, not the painting, the photograph with the palm trees, actually is a Google image I just found on Google, and I pixelated it as well. So to give it like really like old school 80s, 90s look.
Yeah.
So that was done on purpose. I didn't really crop. I mean, some people ask me like, "Oh, it's pixelated." I'm like, "Yeah, that's supposed to be pixelated. Hey, it's made it old school."
Yeah, yeah. It's like they weren't thinking about that stuff then, or like that was the best quality they could get and they put it together. Yeah. I mean, everything about all these styles, like you wouldn't, I mean, I don't know. I think other people wouldn't think to put them together, like flat and 3D, but it's really working here. Um, and I'm just curious, like, what, kind of backtracking a little bit, like, how did you get so well versed in like all these different styles? Because they're not easy to do. Like, they take, like drawing
They
this
take
bowl
time.
is like a totally different skill set to me than doing the. It's not really totally different, but like the aesthetic and everything is very different, and I think it's really cool that
Yeah, I
you
don't
have all these
know.
influences.
It's just weird. I have ADHD, so I'm drawn to different things, and I'm oh, I like this,
Mm,
but I also like this. But hey, I want to combine this. I like this weird elements. I like to experiment a lot. I feel like sticking to one style, okay, it's cool, whatever, consistency is the key. But I also like experiment. I like different styles, and I'm growing, I'm evolving. So sometimes I'm more interested in this aesthetic, I'm drawn to it more so, and I have to include it in my work because that was relevant to me in this period of time.
right.
And I like those airbrush paintings. I was like, this is cool. I even bought the physical airbrush. So I like to include that element, and I like 3D stuff. But I like the old school vaporwave. Hey, I don't know. It's just the incorporation of my interests. And I guess how to make them is just practice. It's just a lot of hours. Like, oh, first it's like really shitty, but then like, okay, that's better. And yeah, after a while, it looks okay.
All this stuff it's great. It's like um, I agree with you as an artist too. Like it gets boring to work with the same medium. It's like it's not even just that it gets boring, but it's literally you just see some other thing that you could play with and you're like, "Oh, I want to try that too." Like that looks like it would feel fun for my hands to try. So,
No, for sure, definitely. I think it's a process. I think you need to try a lot of things to know what you love. I mean, that like what comes to occupation, what comes to styles, and etc. Yeah, I don't know. I try to keep my themes more or less consistent. I'm interested about the present moment. I never really go back in time, and I never ever release old works. I haven't done it once because I think going forward is very, very important. I mean, the time has one direction. I don't like looking back, and I'm interested in what's going on now in the society and the culture. So all of my works are sort of very, very relevant and kind of a timestamp, just the blockchain itself. So that what I'm keeping very, very consistent. I play with styles, but the themes are very, very consistent throughout my recent works.
yeah. That's cool and it gives you like, there's like one tether, your theme, but you get to play with all these different styles and it still feels like very much your work, like even though there's all these different like like just showing like holowocracy 2020 and like the aesthetic of that versus like hyperbirds, but it still feels like this is very much Olive Allen work.
I try to connect my work with myself. I have to like it myself. It has to be me. When I look at something that I create and which is not me, it's like, oh, it looks like a copy of something or something I've seen, and it's not me at all. I'm like, no, I'm not meaning it. I'm just it's gonna exist on my iPad or my storage device, but this is gonna be it. Yeah, it has to be authentic to myself. Definitely. That's important to me as an artist and as a person.
Yeah, of course. I think that that's what attracts people to your work too, is that it's authentic and um, it's all about something that you've experienced and it's about the present. Um, I really like this idea that you. It kind of like gave me chills when you were saying like, no, I don't look back in time. Like I'm interested in what's happening now, and time only has forward direction. Um,
Right. But
yeah,
when you I always also trying to talk about things that are universally true for our generation, for the times we're living right now. Like it's basically not like a week or two, but the times in general. Like the modern times, I see myself as the artist of now. Meaning now, it's not this year or like next year, but our era.
yeah. And as you were saying that, I was scrolling through your site and clicked on the Captain Pig versus the Protester, which I watched and I found it very satisfying. Um,
Yeah,
to
I made it
see.
in a sandbox universe. So I
Yeah,
like this game in Element as well. And it was
yeah,
created during the protests in New York, where the movement was happening at end of May, beginning of June. So I created right when it was happening. I went to protest myself. So yeah, that was piece that I really literally created then. And I wanted to capture that moment, but make it more gamified. The video is a bit laggy, but yeah, the point is there. So I created all the elements myself, like both the protester, and the police station, and the sculpture, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, I think I also tried to comment on societal issues that are very urgent and pressing at the moment. That's important to me too. And each of my work is very humorous and should not be taken at the face value.
yeah,
I also don't take myself too seriously, so I like to laugh at things, but in a very
yeah.
like light manner, not necessarily. So yeah, not all of those pieces are completely serious. Yeah, and those
Yeah.
portraits I actually made in 3D. It's not my photographs.
Oh wow.
Just my 3D experiments. I mean, of course, like I'm not a 3D artist, but it was interesting for me to play with it. And I figured,
Yeah,
why
these are
not to make
cool.
an avatar, like self-portrait, because that's like, how do you represent yourself online? I think it's like looking at yourself from outside of yourself, which is kind of tricky, but interesting,
Yeah.
nevertheless. Like,
Yeah. And
yeah,
so when we hear that,
why do I look so much better in 3D, huh? Okay.
or why do I like myself better in 3D, or whatever story we have when we see some avatar of ourselves, or we're like trying to appear a certain way online. Yeah, it's really
Right,
tricky. And then it's
very
just
tricky.
like, and then it's like extra tricky because, everyone's interpretation of you is not really your interpretation of you. So
Oh,
there's
for
like
sure.
these infinite versions of you living in other people's minds, and
Yeah,
everyone else's. Yeah, it's wild.
yeah, if you think about that, everyone has a different version of you. Wow. That's quite a concept. Like literally, like so it means there are so many versions of you exist. Huh? Wow, and wow,
Yeah.
yeah, and they're very, very different. Some people can see you as mean and arrogant, and some people like see you as kind and loving person, and
Yeah.
some people see you as a child, and people see you as an adult, and people see you as like, I don't even know, this virtual being, like Twitter person, and others see you
Right.
as New Yorker, like or like a girl or something. Yeah, it's so interesting, and which one of those is real? I don't
Right.
know. Interesting.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's like all of them, some of them, none of them. I don't know. It's like really
for
tricky to think about.
sure. Yeah, sometimes we are just the perception inside someone's mind. How
Oh
cheap
my
is that?
gosh. Well, I feel like, I mean, but it's good fuel as an artist or any kind of creator, to remember that you got to just do what's fun for you, because people are going to think whatever they think, and you know.
No, for sure, definitely. That's how I try to create. If I like it myself, it satisfies my urge at the moment. If it makes me happy, I'm like, yeah, it's good. I don't. But I also do create for people I want them to engage, to ask themselves questions, because a lot of my work is very open-ended. So I invite the viewer to think about certain things. Like this collection is no one is available, everyone's busy. It's about our everyday distractions where we are stuck, like watching TV, playing games, or social media, or AR, VR. It's the next stage, and that's where we are. That what makes us very unavailable for everything else. That's why the artwork is not even facing you. Like, the main characters are not even looking at you. They're just like, yeah, they're mean that way. They're like, okay, whatever. Like, you're the viewer, you want to see my face? You know what? I'm busy. I'm not available. I'm playing games. I thought it was really, really funny when to make an artwork where the characters are not even looking at you. They're like away doing their stuff in a canvas in these little mini videos. And you're just like, viewer will be like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, as I look at that, I like want to turn the character around and look at their eyes and be like, hi, I'm here. Like,
yes, it's sort of like meant to be anti-satisfying versus the loops and the works people do, as a lot of people comment on as satisfying. I wanted to do anti-satisfying artwork. I found it especially really, really funny. Yeah, those artworks, wherever I showed it to my friends, they'd be like, it just like disturbs me a little that like, hey, the artwork is there, it's not very long, and those guys are not even looking at you. They kind of like so disengaged, so unavailable. You like kind of like, huh? Makes you kind of anxious a little bit for attention. And the videos are super, super short. So I made them on purpose, so it's even more dissatisfying.
Yeah, it's also like, it's also like the super short attention span anyway. It's like, well, you'd only look at this for a second anyway before you're pulled to something else.
Absolutely, like literally a second or like 5 seconds max. I think the longest video is 5 or 7 seconds. That's what's been proven our attention span these days.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, then there's sometimes videos where people like, it's like a 3-minute or 5-minute video, and I'm just like, I don't have time for that. But like, depending on the mood I'm in, I'm like, I can watch a 15-minute video or something. But sometimes it's just weird how time can feel like, oh my God, this is just too much for my attention. And then to hear that 5 to 7 or 5 to 9 seconds is like all we have to pull somebody in, get their attention.
Yeah, that's so funny. Our attention span is super limited these days, and it's getting shorter and shorter. Yeah, and time is weird. Sometimes it's really endless. Sometimes when you wait in line for something, it feels like forever, but it's only been 10 minutes. But yeah, and also 10 minutes by doing something completely random, being on Instagram or watching some videos on YouTube. Oh my God, it can be hours and hours. Hour drain of time. You
Instead
spend 3 hours.
Drawing.
Oh yeah. The time is very strange measurement. Definitely.
Yeah, speaking of time being a strange measurement, it's already 45 minutes in, and I still have more questions, of course. And
okay.
I also just didn't want to forget, because we had a question from Achatanga. Hold on, I copied and pasted it. They were asking, noting the growth of different NFT projects and your experience in the space, what makes you onboard or reject them, and how likely are you to recommend Whale to your friends and colleagues?
Which projects? A lot of times it's very, very random and it's hard to predict. I think I read a theory. I read that, and also Second Valley Investor shared it with me. it was like, I'm not a genius. Truth be told, I just diversify my portfolio as much as I can. Like literally, I buy a bunch of stuff, like a bunch. But literally only one thing or two things give me the return sufficient to cover the cost of something else plus like 100x. So I think it's about really getting a bunch of stuff, literally, like preferably earlier. And one of those things will work if you get a bunch of it, right? Like it's just like a theory of probabilities. One will take off to the point that your expenses for the other ones is not gonna matter. So my advice is not to put your eggs in one basket, but diversify as much as you can. So, and do your own research and don't listen to people on Twitter or TikTok or YouTube, because they have their own opinion and it's not necessarily right. So you really have to dig in and do your own research and like buy a bunch of stuff that looks good, and one of them will eventually take off. That's the advice. That's a theory, and it always works, and it tends to work. Yeah, don't expect that everything in your portfolio is gonna give you 10x, 5x, even any x return. Some of it's like a lot of things is gonna go down, and it's pretty normal. You should expect that. But something will take off like really, really big, like 110x if you do smart choices.
I hear that for sure. Like you need to do your own research and also listen to your own instincts on something, because if you listen to too much Twitter or like what people are saying on Discords, like you're crowding your own judgment a little bit. But I guess what they were to kind of deepen their question was like, is there anything that makes you on board or reject something outright? Like has there been, like, do you have any common denominators where you're like, okay, like this is something that, like for me, it would be like a gut instinct when I'm reading what they say they're about, but maybe you have something different?
Well, to make sense to you. Some, even I remember back in 17, early 18, there were some ICOs that just like really did not make sense. Like you read the white paper, there are like tons of grammatical mistakes, and it just make any sense whatsoever. Like you're thinking to yourself like, what? Yeah. And that's what I reject. I'm like, no, that just makes sense. Looks like a scam. But another thing in crypto, it's all about timing, and to make money, good returns, it doesn't have to be completely legit. That's a sad truth about the space, but you have to really be good with timing if you go that route. But like, of course, you have to hold things that you kind of like find appealing and that like at least make sense, or at least just funny. That people who hold Dogecoin, all right, because it's just funny, all right.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'll like, I'll buy some, or meme, right? They're like, oh, meme, this is so funny. It's so ridiculous to the point of be like, what? I also like to go for those projects that are completely ridiculous. Or like Abigochi or something really just like doesn't make sense, but hilarious. And that's where you get the returns too, funny enough, because people get the joke. I mean, it is funny, at least it adds up some value in that department. And of course, there are like really quality projects like Polkadot that I've heard about back in the day in San Francisco. And what they're doing is just really, really useful. And there's a good team. Of course, those solid projects tend to work always. But the projects were kind of like super sketchy in all departments. Yeah, there are some of those. They get pumped sometimes when the market is hot, but they always like really come to zero at the end of the day. Like, I think you also need to see the team's effort. Some people are really, really, really like try hard, and it shows. It shows like how serious people are about their project. So you have to really dig in and do your research and like buy a bunch of stuff, try to get something for decentralized finance. But in generally, I still think the market's not at the top hot right now. I mean, there's still room to grow. So even if you get some coins, something, I don't know, at the high price compared, I mean, I got some meme, I think like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, at 500, 400 something. And now it's like 1300, so it's 2x. Hey, there's still little possibilities like that in the bull market. So, or like NFTs, sometimes you like dig deeper through NFT Gateway or OpenSea and you find gems, like, oh wow, this is super cheap, I should get it. I'm sure it's gonna go up in price. And if it's like a good artist that's still creating, oh yeah, I should get this super cheap, like $100, $200. Like even $300, you're like, okay, this is just a good price. I should get this asset because I don't know, this is gonna go up, and yeah, soon enough people will notice and grab it. So like you can still like dig in for gold in any sort of market.
Yeah, it seems like there's always something going on and a way to, like you said, it might be sketchy, but you could conceivably still make money off of things that are not necessarily legit. If you're paying attention.
I prefer legit project because I don't want to pay attention. But if it's like your full-time job, yeah, it's okay. I'm not, no judgment here from my side. You know,
just not what you want to do.
I understand. Like people need to make money, you know, and it's understandable. But you have to be very careful with your timing if you're buying something like borderline you don't believe in, don't care, and a bit borderline sketchy. You know.
Yeah. So I have another question from the community from Nituno. They were asking how much of your workflow is done outside of Procreate, like post-processing wise, or are a majority of your work straight up exported out of Procreate and ready for upload?
Well, I change up the video formats a lot. I filter it, crop it. I use different video editing programs. Procreate is not so good for saving video in high quality. Usually, it's always kind of weird. I don't know why. And GIFs, you need to. Oh, GIFs, it's another story. Yeah. I mean, artists know that it takes longer to make sure GIF has decent format, decent quality. Sometimes it takes longer than creating artwork. You have to compress it the right way. You have to make sure like it's just not weird, or it's not like super low quality, but it's not too large of a format. Yeah, GIFs are a headache for me usually. In videos, it could be very, very tricky if you export it directly from Procreate. So a lot of the times, to mint it, because the file size is large, I like to work in higher resolution. I like to just, for minting purposes only, to kind of screen grab the video and then crop it and then re-edit it. So it's quite a process. So it's not like straight ready from Procreate, but when it comes to images, a lot of the times Procreate has a lot of tools, and I create my own brushes that I use. Like it's definitely my tool to go for a lot of things. But of course, and I of course use the outside 3D software. I use a bit of a Blender, a bit of a DAZ 3D. The DAZ 3D, it's a super simple program and the creators of Lil Miquela actually been creating Lil Miquela in DAZ 3D for eternity. That's DAZ 3D, it's nothing complicated, sophisticated, no. That was DAZ 3D, it's super beginner level 3D program. But from that little program, you can export to Blender and kind of make it a bit better, like put a bit of a differentiating, lighting, skins, polish it a little, and after that it's good to go. But like the majority of the work is done in DAZ 3D. I find it super easy and super quick. And then even creators of Lil Miquela find it perfect for Lil Miquela.
That's I have like no 3D skills whatsoever. I'm still new to that, and I like don't even know where to start. So you're saying DAZ 3D is like good for beginners?
No, for sure,
No.
definitely. I mean, because they're 3D artists sell their elements, they sell hair, which is notoriously hard to do.
Yeah.
That's why you
Gosh.
see a lot of like bald humans in the crypto space. That's for a reason, because hair takes forever. It's super tedious. It's just, yeah. You literally have to make each hair separately, and we have a lot of hairs.
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
yeah, basically that's the hardest part that I know for sure. Like, so, but why DAS marketplace you can buy pre-made hair, so that what makes it easy. So Michaela's hair was made by someone random on DAS, so yeah, they bought it on the market. So the secret of the industry. So they did not make those hairs themselves, and so she has the same hairstyle consistently. So that's for a reason too. Yeah, I mean, DAS 3D is just easy to start. You just have to buy elements and put them together, and hey, you have a simple 3D render. It's not perfect, but it's something. So I recommend it. My 3D skills are not advanced level skills, for sure. Like, I know people in the industry and I admire they dedicate 10 years of their life, or 15 years. Like, people, I think he was doing 3D for 15 years.
Yeah, like
That's a long time.
every day. Like that's
every day, yeah.
like
Yeah.
sense to me. Like I can't even fathom it.
Yeah,
but,
that's, yeah.
I mean, you say your 3D skills aren't like, good, but I know, I mean, I think that this is great, and I'm just like, it looks like a simple shape, but for me, I'm like, I wouldn't even know how to start.
Yeah, but I
doing that.
did not make that guy in 3D. This one was drawn and I shaded it, so it kind of looks 3D, but he wasn't 3D guy.
The bull?
No, the bull was. He was the only one, but other
That's
elements,
crazy.
they weren't. They were 2D. Bull was 3D. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane to me that you're like, oh, my 3D skills are not great. That looks like a hand-painted bull to me.
Yeah, but also I hand painted him again. Like, so it was 3D, but I kind of made him like a bit more painterly. So I brushed him tiny bit, like here. I put makeup on him, if you will. So he kind of looks like not entirely 3D, but 3D. So I play around with things, so yes, it's a bit of a process. Now, this is kind of a complex work from that, like different elements from. Yeah, it's hard to replicate, and different opacity levels. So, a lot of the elements are a bit more transparent, so it's a bit translucent. If you cannot enlarge it on my website for some reason, but if you look at a larger image, I don't know why. Actually, I should fix that.
Yeah, no, I can't zoom in. It also won't let me like open image in new. Like open, like there's no link, which is good because then people can't just save it. Like, yeah, if I try to save
I'm sure
as...
they can save it, but okay, cool. But what are you gonna do with it?
Right. It's not really
okay. Yeah, even if you are copied, but okay, cool, it's been solved. Like, okay, copy it, but like, what's the point? Like, yeah, what's the point of it all? Yeah, it's copying. Yeah, it might work, but okay. Yeah, that's what NFT standard revolutionized. You can screenshot and save it, but okay, you still don't own it. Like, cool.
Right. You can make it your phone background, but if you try to like resell this, you're gonna get in trouble. So what are you doing?
right. Like, if you want to make it a phone background, yeah, sure, why not? Like, I also download some photos from the internet and make it my phone background. Okay, I do that too. Right. I'm guilty of that. But like we all are, and that's okay.
Right. Well, I can't believe this hour went as fast as it did.
I know.
So my last question for you is, do you have any new projects that you want to let us know about, or drops coming up that we should keep our ear to the ground for?
So I'm finishing up this particular series, Crypto Bull Run series. So I'm releasing there's going to be 3 more artworks in the next week or 2. That's coming up. I don't know the platform yet, but it is coming. Maybe it's going to be different platforms. different quantities in different platforms. I'm more inclined to that. And also, I'm working. I've always been interested in intersection of art and gaming. It's been a lifelong passion. So design, and I like those mini games when you have to like buy and sell, grow things. So I'm working on this mini game, and I'm creating assets for it. It's an art slash NFT gaming project of mine. I've been passionate for quite a while. I was just like making it for myself. I do that sometimes, and I never really planned to release it. I thought it's just funny thing to do, to play with machine learning AI to feed different images and like come up with something really random, weird looking. I was like, this is fun.
Oh my gosh.
And that's how I do it. Like, in my free time, I'm like, okay, let's feed my machine learning tool today. It looks hungry. So yeah, and I was getting like interesting results lately, and a bit different like vegetables, different characters, different everything. And I was like, oh hey, I'd like to make it a kind of a game. That'd be fun. Yeah, that's a project I'm working on right now as well. So probably I'll release it in 3 weeks or so, very, very soon. I have a lot of
That sounds
content.
really exciting and cool and weird. I'm glad that you
It is
are
weird.
sharing it with the world, even though it started off as just some thing you were using to entertain yourself. So it's definitely going to be awesome if it entertained you.
No, for sure, yeah. That's like, okay, I'm ready to share.
And really quickly, Achatanga asks, are you using OpenAI?
Yes, I'm using TensorFlow. Several. I'm actually been interested in that for a while. It's also kind of something I wanted to learn forever. Like I'm using Runway ML. I'm using Artbreeder. Different programs. I experiment. I like to connect, interbreed, interchange and see what happens. TensorFlow. I know coding a little bit, so I like to incorporate that elements. I've been fascinated by data machine learning. I am not really a fan of one tool necessarily. Runway ML, that's a good one. Artbreeder I love a lot. Yeah, TensorFlow is a good one. There's some I actually still not sure what's and Playform AI. It's pretty interesting tool as well for specific needs. Each of them are, I think, are tailored for specific needs. So I like to do all of them sometimes. I'm still looking for the perfect one. If you have advice on that, if you have any ideas, just let me know. Because all of those programs have pluses, but they also have minuses. And there's no perfect tool that I would like, I use for everything.
Yeah, it seems like all the tools, that are out there, it's like they have their merits, and it's kind of like what works for you. What's more intuitive for you, what's more easy to you. But yeah, Asha Tenga says that they like OpenAI themselves after testing both. Mm-hmm. So that's their consensus.
Right. Yeah, I'm still looking for that perfect tool when it comes to machine learning. But I like a lot of them. It's super cool. I think in the future is even gonna be even more advanced. But it also takes a bit of a time, like rendering. You don't get result. I mean, of course, depends on how many images you upload. But if you upload a lot, just like you're gonna have to wait for this guy to learn things, to come up with variations and stuff like that. It's still like a bit of time-consuming endeavor.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you are doing it, and I really can't wait till this comes out. So you're saying that's like in like 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's the goal.
Maybe like more of a month. I need to organize that. Like, I have a lot of content. I have like a lot of interesting imagery. But of course, I would never like trust the machine to create the final version of things. I like that beginning, like machine learning processing, because it really comes up with something really weird that like you would never think of. But also, like I like as an artist, I like to kind of like shape it into kind of something like even better. So it's a collaboration of AI and myself. Let's put it this way. Because otherwise, like, what's the point of me? You know, that's my outdated take on that. Of course, there are amazing AI artists who just do the machine learning and they program the algorithms themselves, which I still need to learn how to do.
Right, right. Yeah, but this is, you found your way to put your stamp on it before you, if you down the road want to learn how to program your own algorithms that would maybe more accurately express, more authentically express you. But for now,
Yeah,
like,
that's what I think. Yeah. I think that's the way forward if you're an AI generative artist. I think you have to
yeah,
design the algorithm and like has to design, a lot of the things. So my way is just to use available programs, but like tweak it a little at the end. Like tweak the end result into something like we're more familiar with as humans.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah. There, it's always nice to have human element, no matter
No,
how digital we get. Yeah,
yeah, that's what I prefer with the AI generated content. I don't really like to take it as is because a lot of the times I kind of like it, but I don't really love it. But it
yeah,
is weird, hard to explain.
yeah. I think it's, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's like there isn't
Yep.
like a hard and set rule, but because there's definitely like generative art I've seen that I'm like, wow, this looks like a actual human painted this thing or created this matrix or whatever, and it's beautiful. But then other times I'm just like, okay, that was cool. Like
Right,
you never
right.
know. But it's definitely, I definitely respect it no matter what, because it's not something that I have any skill in whatsoever. And I think it's really cool that people are coming up with new ways to express different ideas through machine learning and make art with it. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
it's interesting. Yeah, it took me a while to make myself more familiar with it. That's why I was just doing stuff for fun, like super random stuff. So that's what makes it easy in my mind to do things. I'd be like, okay, just let's have fun with it. Like, let's not do a project, let's not do a job, let's not do any of that. Like, just
just
spend
have
some
fun.
time and play. That's when the best results come out, in my opinion. When you don't like set yourself like a crazy goal. So I need to learn machine learning in 3 weeks and create some amazing stuff. No, I didn't have that goal when I just started playing with that. That's what makes it easy.
Definitely. I think that's an awesome piece of advice, is just to go play. That's that, being in flow and being in a playful state of mind and being curious. That's where the best work comes from,
No, for
for sure.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. When you
Yeah.
overthink it, that's when the trouble comes.
Yep. For sure. I definitely have that problem personally.
Oh
So,
yeah, same. Like I think it's universal for all the artists.
yeah. Yes. Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for
And
having me.
yeah, and so everybody, be sure to check out this Linktree link. I've posted it a million times, but you can follow Olive everywhere. Follow her on Twitter, so you can have your ear to the ground on her
Yeah,
latest
guys.
work.
Yeah, guys,
Yeah,
like feel free to reach out, ask any questions, comments. It's always welcome. So either DM me or yeah, I think Twitter DM is better because I don't check Discord that very often. Yeah, so thanks for tuning in. Thanks for having me, Heather. Like great questions. I enjoyed my time here. Thanks a lot.
oh, great. Me
Appreciate it.
too. Thanks a lot. Hope to have you back again and keep us posted on what you're doing. And thank you, everybody, for your presence, and have a magical day.
All right, sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.